and I didn't. I spoke about it and I stayed. And yeah, I'm really anxious. My head's told me that I'm not going to say the right thing. No one's going to listen to me. I'm going to be judged, all of that. But it was really nice to hear the second song that Jake sang, because it took me right back to my childhood. When I attended church every week. You know, when I got christened as a kid, I made my Holy Communion, I made my confirmation, and I come from a big Christian family. And I remember when I was a kid, my aunt passed away, and my nan was on the floor with the car. The car was driving, and my nan was in the front seat, and she was saying, you know, God, why have you took my kid again? Why have you taken another child from me? Why? And she went quiet. I thought she fell asleep. And then she looked at me and she said, she actually looked at my uncle and she said, I've just heard him. He spoke to me. He spoke to me. And I remember thinking, this woman is crazy. Like, she is crazy. What does she mean he spoke to her? But I remember, you know, at home, there wasn't much love. Like, we love you at the end of every phone call, kiss before bed, love you. And I didn't feel it. But when I went to church with my nan, I felt something different. I felt love. I felt part of, you know. And I felt like that was my connection with my nan, you know. But I also didn't really know what was going on. I remember that I didn't really ask many questions. And I also didn't understand, like, because I'd go to church and I'd hear certain things, and then my whole family they'd go to church on a Sunday, and then the other 6 days of the week there'd be abuse in the house, a lot of drinking, drug taking, all of that. And I had a lot of abuse as a kid. You know, and to fast forward a little bit, I could see the different parts of my family. I could see the ones that went to church, and I could see the ones that were in addiction. And I didn't want to be anything like them ones that were in addiction. I thought, it's not for me. I don't want to be part of it. You know, I used to always pray before I ate. I used to pray when I wake up in the morning, pray at school. Like, we always prayed, and I felt it felt nice. It felt really nice. But then I went down the road of addiction, and some of the things that I done. Before I got into my addiction, I got into an abusive relationship, and I got pregnant. I got married, all for the wrong reasons, and I got pregnant, and I had a little boy, and for my whole pregnancy, this boy's name was Lorenzo. We named him Lorenzo. And in childbirth, the doctors asked my husband to sign a form of who he's going to save, mom or baby, because they weren't sure that we were both going to make it through childbirth. And when he was born, he didn't cry. He didn't cry. And about 10 minutes later, after them doing what they'd done to him, he cried. I had emergency C-section, and I just looked at him and I said, his name is Emmanuel. And I later found out that means God is with us. Yeah, and that little boy, you know, all through the domestic abusive relationship, that little boy helped me feel safe. He helped me feel safe, and I kind of, the roles reversed. He was my protector, like, he protected me, because when he was there, his dad wouldn't hit me. When he was there, his dad wouldn't throw water on me, or his dad wouldn't lock me in the room. All of them things, and I remember when I was a kid, like, I always wanted to be a mum, and when that little boy was born, I thought, I'm gonna do everything for you, you know, I'm gonna do everything for you. You're gonna have the best life, better than the life I've ever had, and that wasn't the case, you know. His dad went to prison, and my addiction took off, you know, and some of the things that, you know, I was a prostitute. I made my son homeless. He's 11. He's had like 60 addresses. My life was so unmanageable. And I remember that my whole time, like, even when I got clean, my whole time, I always wanted to go to church. I always wanted to be a part of, but I felt like I didn't fit in, because my truth is I didn't want to go to these boring white people church that I didn't, because there was no worshiping. It was just reading, and I didn't want to. I wanted something a bit different, and I was so afraid to go, and I didn't go. And I kept on using, and then my mum died. My mum died of a heroin overdose, and I remember going to her funeral. And the next morning waking up in some stranger's house, not even knowing how I got there. You know, the life that I lived is not one of the life that I would want for my daughters. And I'm so blessed and grateful, and I truly believe that God gave me my little girls when I was ready. You know, he gave me them when I was ready, because I'd never want them to see what kind of person I was, because I wasn't a woman. I didn't have respect. I dressed really inappropriately. I'd come, you know. And then fast forward a little bit, my sister got clean, and then I started coming to meetings with her, and I didn't even want to be clean. Like, I really didn't want to be clean. I was just there because she was there. I'd come into meetings and I would take all the men's numbers, wouldn't connect with no women. Like, I didn't want women's numbers. And people used to say to me, it's the women that's going to keep you clean. I'm like, yeah, right. They've stolen my boyfriend. They've lied. They've been two-faced. My relationships with women has been so far from what I've got today with women, like so far. And I relapsed quite a few times. But one thing I was able to do was break the cycle of secrecy with my son. So I told him, you know, if anything's going on at home and you don't like it and you're afraid, you go and tell your teacher. And he did. And I regretted telling them that. But he said to me, you know, he came home from school, I think it was like the 26th of February, 2020. He came home from school and he said, Mom, no, I went into the school and I seen a picture that he drew. He drew a picture of a man abusing me and me just laughing in the picture. And he came home from school and he looked really scared. And I said to him, it's okay. And he said, Mom, why don't you just go back to NA? Like, why don't you just go back to NA? And there it was, God is with me, right? Because my higher power spoke through him to get me back to NA, and I've stayed ever since February 29th, leap year. You know, and I got clean, and I got in a relationship again, and life became really busy, really, really challenging. And I remember I used to see like people posting on Facebook, believers in recovery and stuff like that, and people used to say, oh, that's the God Squad, and I was so afraid. I was so afraid to ask to be a part of that. I was so afraid. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know where to start. And I made a decision to reach out to some people, but I didn't follow through with it. But then I got to about 3 years clean, and I was walking down the high street in Catford, where I'd done a lot of my using, and there's these people on the street preaching. And they've tried to call me over so many times, and I'm like, I'm not interested. And this one day, this woman, Sabina, she walked over to me, and I just burst down crying. And then another lady, Stella, come over, and I felt like that little baby. I felt like a little baby being held by these two women who I've never met in my life. And I felt so safe. And I went on to attend that church for a little while. And I'd bring the kids there, and I'd join in. And then a prayer retreat came along called Ashburnham in Kent. It happens every year, similar to Spring Harvest. And I said, I want to go. And I went. And they'd done this thing. They'd done this thing where they'd done a service, and then they called the firstborn child to come and anoint their mum. And we didn't have a clue what we was doing, because it was our first time. And the other boys, the older boys, took my son and bring him and showed him what to do. And then my head went off in fantasy, because I really struggle with my relationship with my son. As many of you know, I come here week in, week out, so I don't know how to parent him. He's testing me. I can't give him grace like God gave me grace, all of that. So I ran away in fantasy, and I said, do you know what? This religion is going to fix me and my son. It's going to fix us. So I wanted it even more. I wanted to go there to heal mine and my son's relationship. And then he has decided that he doesn't want to come to church with me and he wants to follow a different religion. And I've really struggled with that. Really struggled with it, but I found acceptance over it. You know, he listens to music from his religion at night time, going to sleep, and that triggers me, really, really triggers me. It reminds me of his dad, when a lot of abuse used to happen, and I've been able to let go and let God, like, really. I don't care what goes on. It's your bedroom, listen to it. Come and talk to me about it, you know. And then I started coming here. And I remember when I first, so I'm going to out you. Katie's my sponsor. And I remember when I asked you to be my sponsor, we were sitting in Brooklyn's house. And I thought, it's not the right time. And I wasn't sure. And Sophie told me, just ask. And I asked you for a reason. You know, I admire you in NA, but I also want to be like you in faith. And that's why I asked you. Because I knew I'd feel that little bit more comfortable coming here. Like, I used to sit at home and watch it online or watch the videos thinking, I want to be a part of that, but so afraid. And the first song that was sang tonight, it was like, there's no fear, and the battle's not mine, the battle's his. Like, this internal battle, it's not mine, it's his. All I've got to do is just turn it over, right? And I struggle to turn it over a lot of the time. But what I know, since start coming here, like, I've had so many sponsors. Since coming here, I finished my 3, my 4, my 5, and I'm now on my 6. That's not me. I know it's not me. Because if it was my will, I would have used on my step 4. I would have. If it was my will, I would have left tonight. I went home and beated my son. It's the truth. He spit out a woman today. You know? But I've been able to turn it over and say, you know what? Let my partner parent. I'm not in the right place to parent him today. You know, and there's been so many things that's happened. You know, my people have always said about me being honest in meetings, but I think since I've came here, I've got a deeper honesty where I'm not afraid. Like, I'll come here and I'll just share everything. You know, I remember this time last year, I got my results for my smear test, and they told me that I've got a virus, and this is something that I've only started sharing recently. And I'm sharing it because there's other people that may need to hear it, or there's other people that can help me, you know. And I was obsessed, and I was so afraid, and I was in self, and it was all about me. I might have cancer, all of this. I've got my smear test on Friday because I have to have it every year, and I'm actually all right. Whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. But I know that God hasn't brought me this far to just take me away from my kids right now. I know that for sure. And there's just something that I just want to read. Like, I've started reading the Bible. And there's just this that I want to read. It's from Ephesians 5:3, verses 8 to 14. Walk in light. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, awake you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. For me, that's speaking about what's going on. You know, them things that we're too ashamed to come in and speak about. And I'm not afraid to speak about anything. Like, I really ain't. Since coming here, like, my relationship is struggling. Mine and my partner's relationship is really struggling. And I really believe that God, Jesus Christ, was in my house yesterday. Even though my partner's got a different religion, he was present in my house because we had an argument, a big argument. And what came from that argument was that me and my partner's going to do counselling. I've been asking this man to do counselling for years with me, and he wouldn't. And now, you know, we're both ready to do it. We're both ready to accept that. I struggle to let him speak and not pipe up. He struggles to let me speak and not pipe up, you know. But the longer that I keep coming back here, I can learn that it's not all about me, you know. It's it's not all about me, you know. And I don't want to keep living in defect and in passive aggressiveness and all of them defects of character, you know, because I've lived my whole life in them, and it's so comfortable. Like, it really is comfortable. And it's also really hard to accept that, like, why me? Why me? Like, why am I here tonight? Why not my sister? Why did my mum die? Why am I here? Why did he save me? You know, why did he save me? And like it says in there, like, I think it was that one. There was another one. Just really quickly, I'm gonna go on to this one. The Lord, this is from Isaiah somewhere, Isaiah 49, verses 15. The Lord answered, could a mother forget her child who nurses at her breast? Could she fail to love an infant who came from her own body? Even if a mother could forget, I'll never forget you. A picture of your city is drawn on my hand. You're always in my thoughts. That's Jesus speaking to me. You know, he's telling me my answer right there. And that's a reminder to me that if I'm given this grace, then why can't I give this grace to other people? Like, I've been quite passive aggressive today, and I was in the kitchen with Katie, and you know who I'm talking about, the person that I was passive aggressive to. I was in the kitchen. I said, you know what, Katie? I actually owe somebody an apology. That is not me. Like, I don't apologize to nothing. Like, I really struggle to apologize. Really struggle. I find a lot of guilt and shame in apologizing. And it's really weird because it's like I always apologize for my existence. I always apologize, like, I'm sorry, because I always felt on the way. But it was fake. It was never real. And today I actually felt, and that's Jesus in me, because when I do something wrong or something sinful or something that I shouldn't have done, caused harm to another human being, I'm able to promptly accept that I've, you know, whatever that step is, promptly admit I was wrong, and I was never able to do that before. But I know that, you know, the devil is trying to get me every single minute of every single day. He wants me back at that door using Friday. I went away with my sponsor and 14 other women and my sponsee brother. We all went away. There was not one argument. There was not one bit of there was nothing. There was nothing at all. And that's something that I've longed for my whole life. And that wouldn't have been possible without Jesus Christ. That we all stood in the room, and we all prayed together. We was in the corridor of the hotel praying. And I said, what if somebody walks past? And we just stopped, and then two guys walked past as soon as we had stopped. You know, that is not me. Like, that is not me. I'd be so embarrassed to say that I'm praying. Like, when I first came here, there was somebody who used to come in and he'd be really happy dancing, and I used to judge him, thinking, what is he doing? Now I'm that person with my hands up and worshiping. And I said to Jake, I was like, can you sing this song? Like, I'm starting to listen to the songs at home when I'm out. But there was one other thing that I was going to say, and I forgot it. Yeah. So what I've also realised is the devil don't want me. The devil wants my kids. You know, and I really feel that. I really feel that he's trying to take my son. And that's, like I said, the reminder. My reminder is I need to keep coming back here in order to be that person there for my son, to show him there is another way. You know, and to be able to... I haven't shouted at my kids once today. I've not shouted at my kids once today. I come here every week and say I can't stop shouting at my kids. Like, my 3-year-old, she swears. And yeah. My 1-year-old is very codependent on me. And today I was just able to accept, you know what? I don't need to do no dishes. I don't need to wash no clothes. I can just be there for my kids and meet them where they are, because that's what Jesus Christ does for me. He meets me where I am. You know, all the time he meets me where I am. But yeah, I'm truly blessed. I'm truly grateful to be part of this place and to be able to stand up here and do this. At 4 years clean. You know, I never ever thought I'd make it to 4 years clean. Never thought it. And the last thing I'll say, when I come in, I really struggle to let go of relationships. So codependent. Need my big sister's approval. You know, I've got to be a mummy to my little brother. All of that. I'm daddy's little princess. And in December, I let go of my brother and my dad's relationship. And I've not grieved once. I'm okay. I actually am okay. We're not talking to them no more. And I know it's because I've got a relationship with Jesus Christ. You know, and I'm blessed all the other relationships I've got in my life, but my most important relationship is with him, and then with me, and then with the people around me, because if I haven't got that and I haven't got this, then I've got nothing. Yeah, thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hand over.